In an earlier video, I mentioned that I like to collect Pokemon cards. I also like to talk about the practicality of investing. So I figured, why not talk about the two of them? First of all, if you don't know what Pokemon is, are you living under a rock? It's literally one of, if not the highest grossing media franchise in history, beating out the likes of Star Wars, Winnie the Pooh, and even Mickey Mouse at a staggering $93 billion per year. To me, that's absolutely mind-boggling because the first few Pokemon products came out in 1996, and yet it's still managing to beat out some of the numbers that Mickey Mouse is putting out. Which, by the way, has been around since 1928, almost an entire 70 years earlier than today's hero. While the Pokemon Company hosts a variety of products like merchandise, video games, and even TV series, today's topic is about trading cards, which makes up about 10% of the Pokemon Company's total revenue. Even 10% of $93 billion is still a whopping $9.3 billion that the company generates from trading cards alone. So naturally, you can see there's a lot of money in this sector. And people have certainly noticed. Around the time of the pandemic with forced shutdowns, many people had very limited social interaction with others, and as a result were encouraged to explore other potential hobbies that would make them happy. And you guessed it, the Pokemon card game was one of those resurging hobbies that sparked a massive change in how we perceive Pokemon cards today. Before, while there was still a financial market for Pokemon cards, it truly felt like these cards were just that. Trading cards that you could collect for novelty, or used to build a deck that you would battle your friends with in the competitive trading card game. Up until this point, Pokemon YouTubers like Pokerev and Leonhardt have been slowly building out their channels, making content focused on opening up card packs and also providing their own personal commentary on what the hobby is like. These types of channels exploded while everyone was still stuck at home, and for good reason too. It culminated in the perfect storm of people getting back into the hobby or even getting into it for the first time. And even celebrities like Logan Paul jumped into the mix, who purchased millions of dollars of product in hopes of having a chance to obtain one of the hobby's most expensive cards. All of this came together and created a massive spike in demand, which consequently raised prices not just on individual cards, but also on unopened product, which at this point was getting increasingly hard to find because shelves at retail stores would be cleared within hours of being stocked. While there were a lot of people that were purchasing product to rekindle their love for the hobby, there were also scalpers, or people that would purchase tons of product to turn it around and sell it at a higher price point. Fortunately, in 2023, there's no longer as much of a problem finding Pokemon product in stores. If you wanted to, you could probably go to your nearest Target or Walmart and be successful in finding some modern product for MSRP. Although that said, it's not to say that all prices, particularly for vintage product, are entirely back to pre-pandemic levels. But that's my very brief overview of the market today. As someone who recently got back into the hobby during the pandemic as well, I wanted to give my thoughts on investing in Pokemon product. I don't think there's anything wrong in capitalizing in financial opportunity, but when it's done to the point where it's a detriment to the target audience of the Pokemon franchise, that's where it kind of leaves a sour taste in my mouth. To be perfectly honest, I think there's a variety of other industries where someone could get not only a safer rate of return, but a much higher one as well. Obviously, I'm not talking about card shop businesses that get their product from official Pokemon Company distributors. These people get their product in bulk at discounted prices so that they can sell to you at the suggested retail price. I don't see anything wrong with this. What I do have a problem with is when unlicensed individuals walk into a retail store and completely clear out the shelves in hopes of turning around and selling that same product for a ridiculous upcharge on eBay. Not to mention that during the peak of this, there have been countless incidents of theft, injury, and fraud all over some pieces of cardboard that frankly is not worth the trouble. Like this Georgia man who went to jail for spending $50,000 of his business COVID relief funds buying a pristine copy of a first edition base set Charizard. Or most recently, a GameStop clerk unaliving someone who was suspected of shoplifting Pokemon cards. Obviously, there's an argument to be made for excessive force in cases like these, but the victim in this probably shouldn't have been trying to shoplift a kid's product to begin with. That's just me. I get those people that want to purchase product for the sake of collection or for nostalgia purposes. I fall into that category myself, and Pokemon truly has a special place in my heart. Not only is it difficult for people that just want to enjoy the hobby, but it also taints the Pokemon brand for those that may not be as familiar with the franchise, yet hear about all these tragic scenarios happening. But this is me just expressing some concerns that for the most part have wavered now a few years after lockdown started. Like I said, things have gotten better, but we'll occasionally still hear about situations like these. So I'll talk about one more before I end the video. Just a couple of weeks ago, the Pokemon Company partnered with the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam to design a series of Van Gogh inspired promotional products. Buyers that would purchase any of this product online would also receive a limited edition Van Gogh Pikachu card to go along for free. And I kid you not, all promotional items were sold out within 15 minutes of launch. I know this because I was there. And I was incredibly fortunate to have enough time to add a single item to my cart in addition to this card. Meanwhile, you could check eBay and you'd notice that there were a large amount of people that purchased an insane amount of product to get an unreasonable quantity of that same promotional card. And because of this, not only was it difficult to snag the card in the first place, but people that didn't even have an interest in it didn't have a chance to snag some of the really cool product that sold out as a consequence of scalpers wanting to get a hold of as many of these cards as possible. If someone really wanted to, they could go to eBay and purchase those same promotional items for ridiculously upcharged prices. But then you'd be supporting the scalpers, and that creates an unending cycle that makes it very frustrating for the people that are in this hobby for enjoyment and not for the money. But that pretty much wraps up my thoughts. It'll be interesting to see how this market develops in the future, and given that this is something I care about a lot, my guess is that this won't be my last video on the subject. But with that said, thank you guys so much for watching. Take it easy, and I'll see you in the next video.